in the Christian church on a whole, it's not something that like you would hear being discussed in the mainstream of a church. So you won't hear a message preached about it, or I don't know if there are classes that are offered about it. Most people just start dating or start, seeing someone, and then bam, they get married, and they do premarital counseling. And that's about the only time they had any sort of formal, I would say, training or discussion or any kind of talk about what is the right way, to go about this thing. So I think this is very much needed. And I'm sure that a lot of you will agree that it is something that is needed. I do hope that I could shed some light for you all. So a lot of what I'm going to say, because there's very limited, well, actually, yes and no, right? You're not going to find in the Bible in point form how to go about dating as a Christian. And so, if you're looking, you say, okay, as a Christian, how do I go about dating? If you really want me to tell you how to go about dating or courting as a Christian, I could do that, but it's how many of you will actually follow it, right? And I am going to draw reference from the Bible days and how it was done then. But a lot of what I said that to say, a lot of what I'm going to say is not only my opinion, based on my experience, based on years of counseling, based on years of just observation, seeing people make the common mistakes, right? So a lot of what I'm saying, you may have a difference of opinion, but again, it's based on experience. It's based on also a wealth of information that is available to you, on different websites, YouTube videos, books, all written and put out there by people who have experience and want to share their experience and their knowledge with you and share information with you, right? And so this is coming from someone who has seen a lot of dating happen, that has been involved like in the middle of it. I myself, me and my husband, we were friends for a very long time. And I've counseled a lot of people. I know from behind the scenes what are the common mistakes that people make, because they come to me after they've made them. So I get to hear firsthand. And so I'm saying that to say, guys, that the things that I'm sharing today is not, I didn't pull it out of a hat or out of the air, right? And so I think you're fortunate to be, if you're on the call and you are single and you're hearing this information, this is some good stuff for you, a good platform for you to at least start from, that you're going to have this information, right? So let's get right to it. Let me just tell you off the bat, this is going to be 2 parts. I cannot do it in 1 part, but I'm not gonna skip next week. So I'll do part this Monday and I'll do the other part next week, Monday. So I won't, like we've been skipping, like doing every other Monday of late. I'll do the other part next week, Monday, right? Because I don't want to wait too long to get into the other part of it, right? And I'm doing it in 2 parts because I wanted to kind of lay some foundation, and let you all have a proper understanding of the 2 sides of it, right? The spiritual side and the natural side as well, right? So, can I get an idea of who is on the call? Like how many, because I know this is going to be geared towards singles mostly, but I do want some married people on the call. So I hope there's some married people on the call, because I want feedback from you. I want to hear your experience, how you kind of navigated through that process. But that's going to be at the end, as Celeste says. When I'm through, you can unmute your mic, you can ask questions. You can ask questions while I'm speaking as well, but in the comments, and we'll get to it at the end, because you might forget your question. If you want to type it while I'm going on with the session, that's fine, right? So let me see how many people on the call that are already married. You're on the call, but you're already married. For some reason, you saw it and you were like, let me see what this lady going to say about dating, even though I passed that phase. Any married people on the call? So I know I could pick on you for some backup. Any married people? Just type yes if you're married on the call. No married people? So am I to assume that everybody in this session, 34 of you, are single? Is that what I'm to assume? I mean, that's great. That's good. Oh gosh, we that gonna change, girl. Don't worry, that gonna change. Gonna give you some nice little tips and things to help you to change, right? Single like a Pringle, yes. Oh, like a dollar. Oh, well, you don't make me laugh now. All right, okay, ladies, let's get to it. Let's get straight into it, right? No married people on the call. That's cool. Oh gosh, I'm not really laughing at anybody, shy, and don't take my giggles to be anything. All right, so we getting right into it. So let me start off by asking you all a question, right? You can type in the comments. How many of you would say that, let's say you had an idea of what dating was before you came to Christ, right? Or before you were concerned about dating the Christian way, or whatever transition happened, that now spiritually you realize, okay, I can't operate the same way I used to before. How many of you would say that you have a clear understanding of how to go about dating or courting, we'll clear up that, or finding your spouse as a Christian, doing it like the Christian way, or let's say the Bible way? How many of you all have a clear understanding? And it's like, yeah, I got this. I know how God expects me to do this thing. How many of you could say that you have a clear understanding? You just type it in the comments. Talk to me, ladies. You can't say that, right? Cheyenne says she cannot say that. Let me see, anybody else? Can anyone say that they know, that they figured it out? Literally, well, actually, it wouldn't be on the score if you did, huh? Because you have the answers, right? You have the answers, right? How many of you had issues before when you were in the world and you were operating in the world? How many of you, this was even a topic of discussion? Or was it just for you? I meet somebody, I like this person, we start going around, we start liming together, we end up in a relationship. Sometimes I feel like I know, but putting it to practice is usually the problem, right? How many of you think it was easier before trying to do it the right way or the Christian way? It seemed easier before. Be honest, nobody judging you all. We here to clear up misconceptions, answer questions, get to the truth, we want to get to the way that is going to bless your life and going to make you have the best chance at having a healthy courtship. That's what we want to do. And so, you could just be honest. How many of you think it was easier before? Like, before you had to think about if what I'm doing right or wrong. Why are you being so quiet? Be honest. It was easier before. Right. Shanique says, yes, it seemed easier before. Camille says, yes, it was easier in the world for sure. Right. Yes, it was. Oh, okay. Yes. So everybody's basic, it seemed easier. Right. Yeah. Okay. And I understand that, right? And I understand that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in the world, you didn't put much thought into it. There was no resistance. There was nothing that there was no barrier. There weren't many boundaries per se. And it was just a matter of, right, there was just a matter of see, like, get to know, start to go out, get closer and closer. It don't work out. Because, I mean, you're single, right? If you're on here, you're single. So, or maybe you might be in a relationship, but even though it was easy, it didn't mean it worked out, right? Let's just get that straight. Easy don't mean it working out because all you're not married. Or you don't get vexed, right? So even though it was easier, all you're still single, correct? Yes. So, but it just meant you all had no boundaries, really, or less boundaries. There was less thought put into what you did. And basically you went with the flow. How you felt physically about the person, what you felt mentally, what you felt to do, you did it. And things just happened. And lots of mistakes were made. Yes? What I want to avoid, and that I get that. I'm asking that because I get that from a lot of people now who are in the Christian world and trying to date. There is a lot of confusion around it, and it seems like there's a frustration, and it seems also like they have this thought at the back of their mind that okay, it was easier before, but not to ruffle the feathers or anything. It was easier, but a lot of mistakes were made. It was easier, but yet you are not married. It was easier, but perhaps it came with a lot more baggage, right? You could correct me if I'm wrong there as well. It was easier, but perhaps you have a little more emotional scars, or you have a lot, you came out of your relationships with some sort of trauma or some sort of scar that has never been healed or something, right? So yes, it was easier, but it does not mean that it worked, or it does not mean that it was the right way, or that it meant that it was more successful, right? Because I asked if anybody was married on the call. Nobody is, so it means that you all are still in a situation where you need to get there, right? So let me start. So what I'm gonna start off by doing is I'm gonna say, and this I got this information and I'm sharing a lot of options, correct. I get that. I get that. Here why there were a lot more options in the world too, right? And I understand that, and I definitely could see how that is, because first of all, you did not have as much criteria. I was in a 16, 2 kids came out and it ended in whoa. Yeah. Yeah, that age thing. Yeah. Yeah. So we get to that. I mean, that's unfortunate, but we get to that age thing, right? Back to Cheyenne's comment about options. Your criteria in the world is different. Your criteria is different. There are a lot of characteristics that you probably would be looking for someone, if you're looking for a man of God, that somebody in the world may not have. Most of the men in the world, listen, once they have a good enough job and they hit in a, let me say a six or 7 out of 10 in terms of looks. So they have a job, they're all right looking, they look like they have a little ambition. That's kind of basically what women look for in the world. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm out of the game. I'm 52 and I've been married 23 years. So I'm out of morals. Okay, all right, morals. But I said good character. That was the first thing I said. Morals kind of leans a little bit on the spiritual side when you say like morals, right? But I mean, most people, yeah, basically they're looking for stability, financial stability, somebody who they know could take care of them, who's not looking too bad, and they ain't gonna turn out to be a serial killer. That's about it, right? But when you come to Christ now as a Christian, the criteria changes, because one of the things that happen when your eyes are open spiritually, you become somebody who is very purpose driven. Well, you're supposed to be. Hopefully you start looking at yourself differently, and so a lot of things change within you. Your standards start changing. How you view yourself starts changing. The things that are important to you start changing when you have an encounter with God and your life is changed. And so automatically you're going to want somebody who, you could be compatible with in those areas, because the spiritual side of it now becomes a factor, right? Because your eyes are open and you change as a person too. And so a lot of things start to look differently. The same guy that you would have seen in the world and found attractive, if you have a 1 hour conversation with him now, you'd probably say, whoa, what did I really like about this guy, boy? Coming to think about it. And it's because you've changed, not because they changed, right? So we're going to talk about dating, what dating is traditionally, and I'm going to tell you my opinion about what, if dating is to happen at all in the church, how it should happen, right? And then I'm going to go into the historical side of dating back to the Bible and show you all what was the original intention, and then show it so that you could see how far we have strayed for it. So this is research that I did about Jewish courtships, how people got married in the Bible days, Jews, what was the custom, how Mary and Joseph got married, how, everybody in the Bible, what was the purpose behind it, that kind of thing. So I made a list of that based on research, because that was, we have strayed far from it. But not because we've strayed far from it, are we not concerned about the history of where it came from? It doesn't mean that it is no longer relevant, right? Obviously, we live in a different time, although there are cultures that still practice this. The Jews still do get married this way. A lot of people in different cultures get married that way as well. We're going to go into that. And then the other part, which we probably will get into some of it this week and then the rest next week, is actually now what it's supposed to look like when you are in a relationship with someone as a believer, right? So we're gonna kind of fuse what we know as traditional dating and what the Bible expected and what actual courtship is in nowadays time, to try and help you to understand what is expected of you as a believer, right? When you're courting. And again, this is not me making this stuff up. It's from research, from knowledge, from experience, from counseling, and so on, right? So dating is supposed to be what it is essentially is two people engage in social activities together with the aim of getting to know each other, to assess their compatibility to be in a potential romantic relationship. So it's not necessarily towards marriage. Dating is much more casual. Unlike courting, dating is it varies widely in terms of the intention, the formality, the level of commitment and involvement, right? Dating is more flexible, and it gives room for more than one dating partner. I don't want to say it that way, but yes. So dating gives room for, it's not exclusive then. If you're dating someone in the world, it does not have to be exclusive. Yeah. And a lot of times with dating as well, intentions are not clearly stated. It kind of just happens. And then somewhere in between, you stop and say, okay, what's happening here? I've been seeing this person now for a couple of months. What are we doing? Where are we really going? Right? So it's not like you, at the beginning, like at the first point of contact, or the first time you all meet, first time you all went out to have something to eat together, or when you realize, weeks in, you're talking to this person every day. No intention stated, and nothing should be, because basically you're kind of seeing if you're interested in this person. But in your mind, it's not that you're not looking for a husband. You want to see if this could go anywhere. Let me see where this would go. Basically, that's dating, right? Let me see where this thing will go. Let me see if this person is somebody I could see myself in a relationship with, right? And so that's it's fly by night. There's no real commitment behind that per se. And also things could kind of get lost along the way, because there's no conversation about the future, right? At least it's not supposed to be that way if you're just dating somebody casually, right? Now, when I mentioned that there's a possibility that you could have more than one person that you are dating, which is very common in the world, and apparently in the church. And apparently because people, okay, you're in a church community, you have males and you have females, you might see somebody interested in, you talk to them for a while, maybe you go out with them once, and then you realize, okay, I really like this one so much. And then you start talking to another one, you start texting, you start saying you're going out, and you're like, nah, something not right here, or whatever the case may be. And that in a community, it happens in workplaces, not only in church, it happens in work, right? among co-workers, in church, any kind of community you form. You get close to some people in the gym, friends in the gym, wherever you are going regularly, and there's a community, there's possibility for dating several people, getting to know different people, right? Because you're seeing faces, you're seeing, okay, I wonder what he like, boy. He not looking too bad, but I wonder what kind of person he is, and you want to explore, right? And that's what happens in the world. Am I right, guys? Am I right? You want to explore, basically, right? Before you go, well, and not even in the world, in the church as well, right? Without knowing anything about someone, this is what happens. I see it all the time. Without knowing anything about the person, just surface things. This person comes to church once a week. I know that they work here. They're however much old, and their parents is so and so. That's what you know about them. But basically, you pursue the person, you want to get closer to them because you like how they look, or there's something about them that that intrigues you, and so you want to get to know the person, right? But that doesn't mean that there isn't somebody around, another person that you're interested in, that is intriguing to you, and that person might be texting you and you talking to that person, and right? Correct me, ladies, if I am wrong. Or is it that you start talking to one person this week and then just lock off everybody else? Talk to me. Is that how it's done? Is that, or do you think that is what should happen? John starts texting you this week, right? And saying, hey, how you going? And you realize it's small talk every day, right? Small talk every day. How you going? How was your week? And sometimes I'm in the area by you, I pass and drop some lunch fare. This is day 3 of conversation. Hey, you're free for lunch today? You want to just go and grab something? We don't have to eat. I could just pick you up and we could go pick up something. Right. Yes. Yes. Tashana, right? And so you start chatting with that person, and you're taking them up on the offers. Yeah, they bring lunch for you, you small talk, you reach home in the evening, you sit down, you eat dinner, then they're chatting with you again, whatever. I don't do that. Eggs, never in one basket. Right. So, Cheyenne, you are saying you don't ever put all your eggs in one basket. That's what you're saying. You're not just locking off all other options just because somebody started chatting with you and maybe you went out with them once or twice. Just to be clear, that's what you're saying, right? You're not when I don't know you. Right. Okay, good. And so that is what happens. Make me understand that nothing is wrong with dating. It's the norm, but you making me understand. Right. So I'm going to explain myself, right? And so basically the difference between dating and courting, which is, we'll get into what courting actually is that is the intention behind what you are doing. And the intention behind dating is really to get to know somebody. Some people don't even have marriage in their thoughts. It's an attraction, something about the person they like spending time with them, and you move forward with that friendship, right? Excuse me, right? Something, I'll tell you what happens. I did a list the other day on Instagram. The list was 10 things to help prevent people from getting involved romantically if they want to remain friends. How to remain friends with someone that you are getting to know. So why dating ends up going bad in the church and ends up looking almost just like the world, it's because you start talking to someone, they start chatting with you, and you take it too far, too fast, right? They chat with you today, okay, fine, this was interesting. So you get a conversation with the person. You don't know the person, right? You're not thinking marriage. All you have in your mind is this is an interesting person and not bad looking. I don't mind getting to know this person. You'll chat today, fine. Tomorrow, you chat in the morning, you chat in the night. Next day, you chat in the morning, you chat in the night. Next day, you chat in the morning, you chat in the night. Chat longer. Then maybe a video call. Then maybe the sleepy 2 a.m. calls, right? 2 or 12 midnight calls on the bed. Not in I'm talking about any provocative way, but just, hey, how you going? You sleepy yet? You sleeping? Yeah, how come you're not sleeping yet? Well, I just ran tired right now, but I know it's not, and right? And then all of a sudden, right? All of a sudden, here's the first thing that starts happening, ladies. And this happens to y'all faster, I believe, than it happens to men, right? After a week of intense conversations, I'll give you all the benefits of the doubt, 2 weeks. After 2 weeks of intense conversations, maybe every day, a couple phone calls, video calls, you start wondering, what is life going to be with this person? You start seeing a white picket fence and you seeing yourself holding his hands and going around in a tree, and you start imagining what your children will look like. You start thinking, I wonder if he's the one, right? I wonder if he's the one. 2 weeks you're talking to the boy and you're wondering if he is the one, right? And then you start imagining. So you go down this world of imagination, right? With this person, you start fantasizing because you all have been talking for 2 weeks constantly. And Lifa just said something that she said the 2 a.m. calls make people fall in love, right? Listen, I don't know if you're a superwoman or what, right? But when we were caught in a dating in my days, there was no cell phone to talk to nobody. Video call was something we used to see on Star Trek, right? Well, yeah, don't laugh at me, right? But the thought of being able to watch somebody in their face and talk to them on a phone when I was dating Kerwin was something I thought in like the future, like Star Trek now. Spock beam me up and that kind of thing. So I cannot imagine myself lying on my bed talking to somebody that I'm attracted to late in the night in the dark. Of course, I'm going to start to have thoughts about this person. Of course, perhaps I might have a dream. You're dreaming from God, sister. Sister, I'm going to tell you something. The dream you got about him is not from God. It's because that's who you're talking to whole day, whole night. Is only his, you know him hearing God's voice. You know his voice better than God's voice. You know what he looked like better than God. You know him better than the Holy Spirit. And so when you get that dream, that you convinced, this means that, people just even hear voices. I heard God say, right? I heard God say what? Right? That's just you and your desires and your mind and whatever, all tied up, your emotions, infatuation, and your intense desire to be with this person is causing you to believe that perhaps this could be God. I said it. I believe it. Guys, let me tell you something. I do not know. If I know 0.5% of people, couples or one person in a party or whatever, who told me that they had a dream that this person was going to be their wife or their husband, and it was the truth. Right? It's most times it's your mind, your heart, your emotions, your infatuation. It's just, yeah. So you need to take it easy. So let me go back to dating to clear it up, right? What I consider dating, not how the world considers dating, right? You are in a community, right? You're in a community. You're a female. There are a few male suitors there, some eligible bachelors, right? You're not, first of all, you don't start getting to know someone from the onset with the intention of saying, okay, could this person be my husband? You've already started wrong. If it's like the initial, meeting with the person, you can't see a fella walk through the doors of a church, and because he was worshiping and he's like, oh yes, Jesus, and his family look anointed, right? That does not give you the right to sit in your chair and say, whoa, and if that could be, and you start thinking one time if that could be a husband, you're going off already. You're going without even considering God. You have gone all off, right? And so this is what I advise you all to do as ladies, right? You're friends with everybody. Like in our church, there are a lot of young people. They're males, they're females. They go out together all the time. They always linemen, they're friends, whatever. Get to know each other. Continue being friends with the male people in your church, in your community, or if there's a Christian guy at your work or wherever it is you go and there's a community. Friends. And I'm not talking about friends like the friends I described before, talking every day, whatever, right? Just feel out the person. See, start to, you can ask questions, not deep questions either. Not deep questions. Maybe little things about family. Hey, so who you live with? Your mom and your dad? Say, yeah, no, whatever. You talk a little small talk. But then this is not you exclusively pursuing this person. This is you being a friend or just being a casual, I wouldn't even say friend, you're being a casual acquaintance. You're getting to know everybody. You're smart. You're being wise. You're watching from a distance as well. Look at the person and observe how they interact with females. Not only how they interact with you. Observe what they say when they don't think you are listening, right? All you need to be sharp and wise, ladies. You don't just fall into, because somebody give you some attention and start chatting with you, you don't just go off on this thing, okay, this person like me, they're good looking, I like them too, let's start to, right? Take some time, rock back, right? Rock back, observe, watch them, watch everything, right? And I'm talking about with everybody, you are observing, right? You're observing. You're just observing the scene. So, okay, that's how he's moving. All right. I find he's talking about a real aggressive boy. You could scratch him off the list one time, right? No, this is just you in your mind mentally, right? So I'm not talking dating for me as a Christian. It's not you going to restaurants and eating. So Monday you're going out with John, Wednesday you're going out with Frank, Friday you're going out with Matthew, and Sunday you're going out with Earl. And and that's a game you playing. That is a dangerous game, and that is a game that's gonna get either you or all of those fellas into some serious heartbreak. Because obviously, at the end of the day, you're gonna choose one or none. Yeah, I don't know where them names come from, kid. I just couldn't think of traditional names. I real sorry. Yeah, I was thinking about it after. It's like those names, right? And so take advantage, right? Take advantage of the fact that you are in a community and you get an opportunity to observe, right? There's no need to go hard and start the constant chatting. I think this generation and technology, WhatsApp, has its advantages in the area of dating and relationships, right? I did not have that. I couldn't, when I went home, when I left church, or I left my line with my friends and I went home, I had no phone to go on and text anybody, right? Well, except when ICQ came out, which you all probably don't know what ICQ is, and it was what it was, Messenger after ICQ. Anyway, right? There was no way for me to go and be chatting 24/7, right? So I still had a lot of me time. When I went home, it wasn't, Kerwin dropped me or I drop him or whatever the case may be. I'm not going home and lying down on the bed and continuing the conversation. No, I have a life and my life does not revolve around you. But nowadays, you could have somebody almost like pinned to you 24/7, just 24/7 on the phone. And then you become consumed with that person. And it's, and now you could send voice notes and you're listening and you're talking and your whole day, when you check it out, it's like, how do I reach here, boy? I talk to this person whole day, whole night, right? That is unhealthy. And I know you all might be thinking, well, okay, great. It's because we have all these feelings for each other, whatever. It's unhealthy, right? Especially when it's early. You need to give yourself time. You need to rock back. You need to pace yourself, because any relationship that starts off, or friendship that starts off hot and sweaty like that, has the potential to crash and burn when it's hot and sweaty, right? At any given moment, ladies, y'all could correct me if I'm wrong, yeah? But I know how it goes. I know how it goes. You think it starts off sweet and hot and sweaty. You're talking to them so much that you're going to bed 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're waking up with wrinkles under your eye and you're tired and tell, how you so tired, girl? I was on the phone till 4 o'clock in the morning. And like, if that's some kind of, no, right? Unhealthy. And that's not the way to go, especially if there's no intention. Here what you're doing. You're losing sleep that you ought not to be losing over that person, because it ain't going nowhere, more than likely, right? Time is precious, ladies. And so don't just go throwing away your time on anybody who gives some sweet talk on WhatsApp or tell you you're special, or, right? Case yourself. Yeah? Better you sleep. Yeah? Better you sleep. Make sure your body healthy. Make sure that you work on yourself and stuff, that to be giving this person all of your time and all of your energy, and then it just crash and burn, right? So if we were to say we dated, right? If we were to say we dated, ladies, that is my idea of dating. Taking a backseat and just being friends, right? And that's, in fact, I don't even want to call that dating. It's not dating. I wouldn't even call that dating, right? So let's go on now. Before I go on to that, you all have any questions concerning what I just said, or you may disagree, or any questions concerning what I just said? I'm going now to give you all an idea of what happened back then in the Bible days with the Jews. But anybody has any questions based on what I just said? All right, if you have questions, you can always type it in the chat and we'll come to it later, right? Bible days now. First things first, there was no such thing as dating. There was no such thing. I too old for 2 a.m. coffee, no reason, no sleep. Tanisha Gill, I hear you, right? In the Bible days, there's no such thing as dating. What I just described to you there is unheard of. Worse yet, what happens in the world? That casual going out with this one and that one and taking a drink here with you and then next week I'm taking a drink. Unheard of. And most definitely not God's intention, right? And so let me tell you how it was done, right? In the Bible times, the process of choosing a spouse among Jews was very different to modern day practices. It was influenced more by culture, your social status, and your religion. Those were the things that influenced the decision to marry someone, right? Not attraction, ladies. Now, remember, I am giving you what the original thing was, right? What the original, how it was done back in the Bible. Now, that was a Jewish custom. Even Mary and Joseph, this is how it was for them, right? So it was really based on all those things that I just said. You missed it. Influenced by cultural, social, and religious practices or religious or norms, right? So it was a cultural, social, religious thing. This is the first thing. Most marriages were arranged by the families of the bride and groom's parents, sorry. In particular, fathers, right? So I'll say that again. This was the norm. There's no mistaking about this, ladies. In terms of marriage and choosing a spouse, that was arranged by the parents of the bride and the groom, not by the bride and groom themselves. Sorry. Kind I can hook you up, I wouldn't do you dirty. I will hook you up real, real good. Right? I'm not seeing any prospects right now. But anyway, you make me straight, right? Most marriages were arranged. There is a story in the Bible, Samson. You all know the story of Samson and Delilah, right? We all know how Samson lost his strength, and we know that story about Delilah cutting his hair. But the first person that Samson married, he disobeyed his parents. He went outside of their will and their desire, and he married somebody from a foreign land of a different religion, right? And he told his parents didn't want it at all. They did not agree, and they told him, "What's wrong with you, Samson? This is not our choice for you. She's not even from our tribe. Why are you going, outside?" So she was like a idol worshiper, right? And he was like, "Nah, this is the one. She looks good. I like her, and I'm doing it." And he went against his parents, and that didn't end well for Samson. That wasn't Delilah, but Samson after that just went down a road. He ended up being a prostitute, and then Delilah and all of that, right? But traditionally, excuse me, the parents would be the ones to choose the spouse. Yes. The choice was right. I said it's right. Family condition, or rather personal right. So it was not about feelings, ladies, and it was not about romantic feelings. And now I am not saying this is how it should be, but many times the parents did not even consider the children's opinions, right? It was an arrangement. Actually, a lot of times the parents knew from the time, sometimes from the time they are born, they know which family they want them to marry in. And the family actually makes an arrangement. And so it's kind of known sometimes that, okay, when Mary grew up, she's gonna marry Paul from so and so family, right? Because of, for whatever reason, it could be business, religion, some purpose they have or whatever, right? But it was certainly not for the reasons that we get into courting, right? Next, the engagement period, right? Now, this was just before marriage. So the parents would choose the spouse. It's okay, this is the person you're going to marry. And they would put a period to it. And it was not long either. It was not a long, long period of waiting, right? Often, this is arranged by families and involves a contract and sometimes a bride price paid by the groom's family to the bride's family. And during this period, the couple was considered legally bonded. So they already had a legal bond in the engagement period, although they did not live together or engage in any marital relations at all. So in those days, the engagement period, there was also a contract and there was money passed and there were promises made to each other that, okay, now, okay, yes, all the time we say we want Johnny to marry Mary. This is the engagement period. Johnny go in and make sure he have a place for her, make sure certain things in order. They're not living together, but they are bound to each other and there's a contract and there was money passed as well, right? That was another thing that happened in those days, right? A bride price or a dowry, which we know in Hinduism and Hindu marriages, we know that there's a dowry, right? So a bride price was typically paid by the groom's family to the bride's family as a part of the marriage agreement. Additionally, a dowry might be provided by the bride's family to the groom. These transactions were part of formal arrangements and served for various social and economical purposes, right? It could have been land, that payment could have been land, money, property. It was, the purpose of it was to kind of show the bride's family that I could take care of your daughter. So the groom's family would be like, I could take care. It's like a show off now. Well, look, I'm offering you this, I'm offering you that. I could take care of your daughter, right? Right. And so this part of it, this here now shows me how something that a lot of people don't consider nowadays, right? So let's say you're courting, you're not dating. You in the phase of this is somebody that I want to marry, I intend to marry. So we courting and we want to get married. It is important to have your finances together. This is just by the side, right? Even in the Bible days, money was a big consideration because you are taken as a man. There are no men on this call, well, not in Zoom call. You are taking a young lady out of her parents' home, her parents who took care of her for, let's say, well, in Bible days, it wasn't 30 years. It was 18, 19, 20 years. This family took care of her, paid for everything she needed. And now you are coming, a man is coming now to tell your father, well, I'm going to marry your daughter, or you'll make an arrangement, where we make an arrangement. The families have to be sure that that bride is taken care of financially, right? It's not just so. And if we bring that into modern day times now, ladies, if a man come in and step into you and saying he wants to marry you, he has to have some kind of finances in order. I am not saying the man has to be rich, right, ladies? I am not saying that at all. But he has to at least have a plan, making some kind of income or has a plan to make an oh gosh, or has a plan to make income, or maybe making a certain amount now, but has a plan to make more later. But you cannot expect for a man, ladies, you should not, I'm not saying it has to be a perfect, ideal financial situation, right? Cheyenne, don't be going and telling no miss thing in my words, right? I am not saying, ladies, listen to me, please. The man have to be rich and making a certain amount of figures for you to marry him, but he has to have the thought that I am taking on this woman now to be my wife. I am joining myself with her. I am making her my responsibility, right? So he have to have a plan, but a plan with action in place, right? And I want to suggest to you ladies that you look at that man's history, because men could come and tell you, I have a plan, but let's say you know him for 4 years and none of the plans he had previously ever came to fruition. None of them. Somehow all of the plans fall through. But all he could tell you is, I have a plan, and you've never seen anything behind it. No, Olia, please, I'm going to get in trouble with the fellas if you all go and tell them that I said, Olia can't marry a man if you don't have money. That is not what I'm saying. But I'm saying, don't be dotish. Okay, ladies? Don't go and put yourself in the hands of someone who there's no plan, there's no ambition. If you are a thing of value to him, right? Hear me. If you are a thing of value to him, if he values you, he is going to want to, listen, there's no man who you could tell me who loves and values you and does not have a strong desire to provide and to make you happy and comfortable. And so that is important. So if the guy is somebody who's always making promises, if you've seen for his own life that he is going nowhere, he has no plans, he has no intentions, and then he's approaching marriage the same way, all I'm saying is that could be a red flag. And I'm not saying in the other areas of his life that he can't be a good person, right, for you. But news flash, ladies, you see, when it comes to money, finances, whew, that is in the top 2 things that causes tension in a marriage, that causes confusion, that causes arguments, that causes, right? I see to have a married woman here, she could tell me if that's true or not. It's a tense environment when you have like a big bill to pay and you don't know how it's going to be paid. It's difficult to be, you know, to have a, you know, that kind of freedom and happiness. Yeah, you know, you're thinking in the back of your mind, how in the way we get this money? Worse yet, if it thinks so bad you can't feed your children. Well, that's a horrible place to be in, where you're not sure if you can buy books for school. Don't start your marriage that way. That's all I'm saying. It is going to put tension on you, on your marriage, a strain on your marriage that you can do without. So I'm saying, please don't make the statement that a lot of people make, that love is all we need. You go ahead and you do that. Tell me how that works out for you. You tell me how that love is all we need. Let me know how that works out, right? So in the Bible days, money, yeah, love cannot buy Pampers. Thank you, Lifa. Glad I have you here, right? In the Bible days, money was a consideration too. So them fellas who want to tell all your ladies, watch me, right? The fellas who want to tell all your, all they think and money and this and money men have other qualities. Of course, you know how much man could provide for you, give you a nice life, but they are a waste of time. They horn in you, they, you know, in all the other areas of their life, you know, they're a waste of time, but yeah, you've taken care of. So I'm not saying money is the end and the all of everything, right? But I'm saying it is going to become a very important thing when you get married, right? So don't just be naive and think that, yeah, we don't have nothing. We are nothing. But love go make it work, right? Ease me up. Especially when children come in that, when your children come into play in that scenario, it is painful to watch your child and not be able to provide basic things for them, right? All I'm saying, ladies, is don't put yourself in that position, right? So money was a big part of it too, right? Right. Marriages often aim to strengthen family alliances. And there are a lot of cultures now, there are a lot of people now, different cultures that still believe very much in this. The Syrian community right here in Trinidad, marriages are often aimed to strengthen family alliances, secure social status, and ensure a continual family lineage, right? So it was also a business arrangement. It was also a business arrangement, ladies, in the old days. So they looked at how they could benefit each other, not in all different areas of life, right? I mean, nowadays in the Western world, and now it's just become so like, yeah, he cute. He cute. I marry him. He's so cute. He's make me feel so special that he will make a good husband. Anyway, um, parents were the ones that had the most influence. For instance, in the Bible, there was what am I reading here? What did I type here? Okay, so basically, in the days of the Bible, it was the parents who were the ones that made the arrangement for marriage, but there were exceptions. I think one exception was Rebecca. She was asked if she agreed to go and marry Isaac, but that wasn't necessary. It's not necessary to ask the children, do you want to go along with this arrangement? That was not the case, right? It was very important for spiritually as well. You could not, listen, marrying somebody from a different tribe or a different religion was like, if you did that, that was like unheard of, right? It was unheard of. You had to marry someone in the same tribe, from perhaps maybe even the same village and of the same religion, right? You couldn't just go out and just marry anybody from another religion. Right. So it's now time, general focus for marriage. Right. Another thing, so in the engagement period, the time that they spent together to get to know each other was also supervised. I mean, it didn't have to be all the time, but a lot of the times it was a supervised sort of arranged. So it was like the families coming together and the children would talk. Yes, I mean, if you watch old time movies, you would see, so the families would come together and the children, the two engaged couple would be in the corner talking, but the family making arrangements. Sometimes in the engagement period too, the man would have to go and get the house ready wherever they were going to live, whatever the case may be, and the girl would be there waiting for him to come back. And then when he come back and everything is sorted, they have a wedding and they get married, right? And so, ladies, it was very, very different back then, how things were done. Very, very different. It was more purpose driven. And if you look at the stories in the Bible as well, there was okay, remember Jesus came from a lineage, right? And so, and coming down from Genesis to, what was the last book in the Old Testament? Malachi. I could Google it then. Matthew, let me say Matthew. Coming down from Genesis to Matthew, right? Ladies, listen to this, right? Every union had a purpose, and especially the ones that were in Jesus's lineage, there was a purpose in these two people coming together. It wasn't just, I look at you, you look at me, you look good, I look good, let's see how this thing would work, right? There was always a purpose behind it. And if you start looking at marriage, ladies, as more than just you meeting somebody that you have all these butterflies for, who making you feel so special, who bringing you flowers, we'll buy a house together, have a mortgage someday. If you start looking at marriage and your spouse as something that has great purpose for your life and for your children's life and for generations to come, you would start having different criteria when you are choosing I believe. I think it will be different for you. When you think about your children and your grandchildren and the influence that you could have on this world based on who you marry, who who your children can become. People get married most times with a selfish thinking. I feel this way about this person. This person makes me feel a particular way, and I want this for the rest of my life. I want to be with you for the rest of my life because you make me feel so special. That is a really, really shallow reason to get married. Guys, I'm just telling you. No, please, that feeling should be there. You should be in love with the person you're going to marry. You should feel butterflies. I mean, I wouldn't want you to miss out on the butterflies and not eating for a whole day because you're feeling you're full of love, so you can't eat, right? I mean, all that is great and it's nice to be able to experience that. But that cannot be the only criteria you use to decide on that person being a spouse. That is not enough, and that is not a foundation to build a marriage on. There has to be more. There has to be more. And so this is where now I'm going to start, what's the time? Right? Talking about what we really should be doing, right? What we really should be doing. First thing you need to do, ladies, full of love till you can't eat. Yeah, I don't know. Well, Lisa, I don't know. I know you were almost engaged or engaged, if I'm not mistaken. But I remember with my first boyfriend, because it's the first time I was 17, or no, I was 18. So I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend in school. The feelings that I was having physically was so overwhelming. The excitement of it, the butterflies, that food was a secondary thing. I'll be honest, food was secondary. I felt I didn't even feel to eat. I don't, anybody, was it just me who experienced that? I experienced it with Kerwin too, but I was a little more experienced at that point, right? Anybody hear me now? I can, okay, well, nah. So wait. So you're telling me you have nobody on this call who was in love to the point of not of food? I'm not talking about for long periods now, but it's like your stomach feels is like okay, like when you're excited to go somewhere, like as a child, you're excited to go Disney World or whatever, and you can't eat. Food is not. I don't know if maybe you all love food. Yeah, couple hours maybe. Well, yeah, and food, yes, you can relate. Yes, but I don't miss meals. Okay, well, I miss a few. Come, I love food. Okay. I miss a few meals. Experience that. Thank you, and thank you. At least I'm not alone, right? At least I'm not alone. The love is the food, but not the love because it wasn't love. It's just that infatuation, right? Oh Lord, I'm gonna ask Crystal no questions, right? And so, here what I want to say, ladies, listen to me, right? I was in love, right? Here what I want to say to you. It is very, very important, ladies. We're going into how the courtship should look, right? It is very important, ladies, to know who you are before you venture into that world of trying to become one with somebody else. Your life is going to be very difficult if you are not sure of yourself as a person, if you are not sure of your purpose as a person, as a child of God, if you still have not come into yourself in Christ, like there's still so many uncertainties even about your identity, right? If you also in a place where you have doubt about, like, let's say God, right? And you're in a place where you could safely say, I am still really growing here and I'm trying to find myself in Christ, in that place, in that cleft of the rock where I'm set. Doesn't mean I'm perfect, but at least I know who I am. I know where I'm going, and I know God has a plan for my life, right? I know God has a plan for my life. It's important to at least be at that point before you start looking to join yourself with another human being, ladies. It is so important. When I look back at my life, a lot of people ask me, Kerwin and I got married at 28, but I knew Kerwin from the age of, well, maybe I was going on 20, right? Probably I was 20, 19. Yeah, he was 19 and I was 20. But we were friends, not friends like how we always be friends, right? He used to travel a lot, son. When he come, I might see him once or twice. We used to talk a lot on the phone, and then he go on again because he was traveling. But I could tell you, if I got married, let's say in a 3-4 year period, although we were just friends then, right? We were not dating. I don't know how things would have gone because of where I was at in my life at that time. And I was a little shaky, and I know like my foundation in Christ at that time, I was coming from somewhere and I still had like I think a wrong concept about what my relationship with God should have been like because I grew up in church with a lot of misconceptions. A lot of, I would say I wouldn't say I learned error, that would be wrong to say, like wrong doctrine. And a lot of things that's commonly taught in churches, right? But I started coming into myself like in my 20s, started coming in more and more, becoming stronger. And my husband actually helped with that, just as friends, because he would really talk about God. And he told me things that I never heard before in church, and I would research it myself, and I'd be like, wow, this is true. How come I never heard this preached in church, And so he really blessed my life spiritually, right? But if I got married at 22, 23, even though it was me, Onika, then, because of where I was then, it could have affected my marriage. And it could have to the point where maybe it might have not worked, right? And so timing, I'm saying all that to say, ladies, timing is very important. When, not only who, right? And the when involves you and where you are at in your life. And we have a relationship with God and we have the Holy Spirit in us, which is an advantage. And so I will want to encourage you all, while you are single, talk to God about your future spouse. Say, Lord, I don't want to make no mistake. I don't want to go down the road of having 3, 4, 5 relationships before I find the one. I don't want to get 3, 4 tabanka and then say, well, okay, I'll meet my husband now. And so that could be your heart's desire. You don't have to be that person. You don't have to be that person to have 3 man and 3 broken hearts and then you say, then I meet, the right one. It doesn't have to be that way, right? And if you do it properly, it can be prevented. You could, very few people marry the very first person they get into a relationship with. I'd be curious to know if there's anybody on the call who is married. Well, nobody married except Lifa so far. But I don't know if there's anybody here who, let's say you were in a relationship from young, let's say teenager, and you're in your 20s now and you're still with the same person. Like, there are very few people that it works out that way, right? Very, very few. I'm not saying it does not happen, but very few. Zion Lopez. Zion? My boss married her teenage sweetheart, Zion Lopez. What you say? Anyway, let me don't let you throw me off. I'm not gonna let you throw me off here tonight, right? That it's sweet. Listen, if you meet somebody young, in your teens, let's say your late teens, 18, 19, because I don't think before that, but we're gonna get into that anyway. And you could be with that person and marry that person, and that's the only person that you were ever with. That's beautiful, and that is God's intention. But it very, very, very rarely works out that way, right? And so let's go into number 1, right? We're talking now about what dating should look like. Now, this is, you are in a relationship with someone and your intention is to marry this person. Can I ask you a question? Answer me honestly, right? From your heart, not what you think is right. Do you think it makes sense going out with someone if there's no intention to be married? Answer me that. It's just you like the person company or whatever, right? Right. There's no intention. No. I'm so glad I'm seeing no. So I'm talking about, well, yes, I'm talking about going out on constant dates with this person. What was the question you asked, Lifa? So I'm talking about you with this person, you're young, let's say you're 19, 20, right? You're going out to eat with this person. It's certainly not with no intention of getting married. There's no intention. I like you like me, and we go out, right? I like you like me, we go out. We like talking to each other. There's really no intention. It's just, well, I guess, which is what it's called, right? Doesn't make sense. We date, we get married is a reason for dating, right? So this is me. This is my thinking. I think it's a waste of time to just get to know somebody, right? Somebody that you don't even know is a suitable person to be a spouse, right? You just get to know this person. They ask you out on a date. You go out with them. They ask you out on a date again. You go out with them. And then you find yourself, in a situationship, right? Very common. Nothing has been stated, right? No intention stated, no talk about the future per se. It's just that everybody knows, well, Johnny and Mary, they not exclusive, but the exclusive is not, there's no intention behind it. You're in a situationship. Many people find themselves in that place. How many of you all could agree with me that nowadays situationships are becoming more and more common, right? That is a foolish place to be. And in my opinion, nobody should be in that type of situation. What am I wasting my precious time, my clothes, my perfume, my makeup, doing my hair, going out with you, giving you my time, smiling with you, texting with you, using up my phone battery, my video, all that, and no intention stated? No, you don't get all of that from me. You will get we could sit down in church after church and sit down and talk. We could sit down in church and have a little conversation. Yeah, good, yeah, good girl, I enjoying, yeah, everything right, blah, blah, blah. We go out as a group, we talk, ha, 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 we laugh and go my way. I'm not giving you all that time and energy and spraying up my expensive perfume to go out with you, and I don't know where it's going, right? So this is where number one starts off, right? A lot of young people get themselves involved in this type of relationship, and they know they're not ready, and they're not ready for the long term, the kind of commitment it takes to hold on to be ready either. They can't do it, right? When you start dating somebody at 17, we feel you go and get married at 19 because you're going to start to burn. If you start dating somebody or getting close to somebody and you say, I love at 17, I want to get married, I love them, I want to marry them, this is my soulmate, right? 17, you're with them, 18, you're ready, you're still doing your degree or whatever, you hardly finished school. Your degree going to take 3 years. He had no money yet, nothing can happen right now. So all you end up year after year, all you're going around, all you could do that. That's what you really want, to be in this dating relationship or whatever, courtship for 5, 6 years. Most times people stray in that period when you get together too young, because you discovering who you are. You change. Your desires change. You might start off the relationship wanting to be a nurse, and 2 years in you say, "No, I want to be a lawyer. I want to go away and study," or whatever the case may be, right? So first thing, courtship requires both parties to be old enough to get married. If you enter into any kind of serious relationship, ladies, right? This is my opinion, and it's also the opinion of the land of Trinidad and Tobago and parts of the world. You cannot get married in Trinidad legally until you're 18 years old. And it does have some sense in that, right? It has some sense in that. I know that there are people who had boyfriends, at 13 and 14. Some of you on this call probably had a boyfriend at 13 and 14. Talk to me. Anybody here had a boyfriend at 13, 14, 15? Miss Lopez, were you really, right? Anybody had a boyfriend at 13 or 14? Talk to me. A little boyfriend, or they go out, or they hold hands, right? Oh gosh, right? Parents would have skinned me alive, right? Listen, Olia, the kind of stories I hear from my side, right? there are people in full-blown relationships at 13 and 14. I am not talking about holding hands and eating ice cream and you coming over, or like how Stacey saying a crush. I'm talking about sex at 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm telling y'all. I ain't asking y'all, right? And so even the law says that is not only is it illegal, it shouldn't be, and you cannot get married. So your body is not ready for it. Your mind is not ready for it. Your spirit and all ain't ready for it. You ain't even develop as a person yet. And so what is the point? Form 1, yes. Form 1 and Form 2. Where will you hiding? Y'all are protected? Where will you really hiding? Well, you all need to sit down and talk to some young ladies in Form 1 and Form 2. It will blow your mind. Anyway, courtship requires both parties to be old enough. Even in Trinidad and Tobago, the legal age to get married is 18. Common sense would tell you that 13, 14, 15, even 16-year-olds, they're just not ready for that, right? Parents, don't allow your children to date while they're in school. That's my suggestion. Don't even, once they're in school and you are studying, you have not even done your CXCs yet, don't have time for a boy. Why put yourself there? Parents, you shouldn't put your children in that position. School is to focus on school. Let them put all of their energy, everything that they have into being successful in that area, right? There's a time for everything in life, right? If you have teen attached to your age, stay away from man. You ain't ready. That's my opinion. You're not ready. If there's a teen, I don't care if the 19-year-old's vexed because I say that on the call. If it have a teen attached to your name, take it down. You're still working out life. You ain't even properly start adulting yet. So don't go looking for no man to complicate your life, right? Hear what you need to be doing, right? Find yourself in Christ. Serve God with all your heart. Well, Zaya, darling, 19 is the last teen age, right? After 19 comes 20. So, right? Find yourself in Christ. Serve God. Complete your education. Build up your finances. Kerwin always says, our pastor always says, that is the age to try to become a millionaire, to put all your efforts into trying to build up yourself financially, socially. Become as a young woman, ladies, hear me out, right? Hear me out. This is in preparation for courtship, right? We're talking about your age and where you're at. Make sure that you are a self-sufficient young lady by the time you hook up with somebody in a serious way. Make sure you could take care of yourself. You all know one of my pet peeves is women who get involved with men and the man becomes their everything financially and otherwise. You can't drive, so you got to take you everywhere. You're dependent on him for money. You're dependent on him for... So listen, if a man comes into your life, ladies, and he's a blessing to you financially, praise God. But I'm saying even if a man comes into your life in that way, and he can provide for everything, can buy 3 houses for you, you should still be in a position to take care of yourself. Because hear what, ladies, life has changed, listen, situations and circumstances change and people change too. And so this is not me, you might say, well, that sounds slightly feminist. No, not at all. It's wisdom. It is wisdom. Make sure you could find yourself around on your own. Make sure when you go out, if it comes to it, you could buy your own dinner. Don't, ladies, listen. If they have any young women in the call, don't be asking no man to buy nothing for you. Right? Go buy me a pair of shoes now. Long I want to get a kind of sneakers. Or I see this ring I really like. Or I see this bracelet I really like. Go buy it for me now. Buy it for me now. If I hear anyone or all you doing that, well, in my church, not the ladies who are not from my church, you safe. But the others are hitting all your slap. I am tapping you. If I hear you begging any man to buy something for you, if you want a bracelet and you saw it and you like it, buy it yourself. save up your money and go and buy. Do not be begging no man to buy anything for you, right? Even though when I met Kerwin, nobody could say I married Kerwin because he had money. But when I met Kerwin, he had nothing, right? One shoe, one pants, one shirt. He didn't even get a job in Scotiabank yet. He had now come back from Texas, and he didn't come, he had nothing, right? But we were friends. And then eventually he worked Scotiabank, we were friends, and then he started his company, which was Bordercom. And he was well off at that point. But I saw where he came from. But I'm telling all you, listen, Kerwin would go away a lot. I am being honest with you. You could ask him. I cannot remember a time where I would even ask Kerwin to bring something for me. And that's just because, I mean, that might be a bit extreme, but it's just how I was taught, right? But he would always bring things to me though, always. He'd always, right? I didn't have to ask because every time he come back, he'd bring stuff, right? But I could not see myself like asking him to buy this and buy that, and no way. And that's something I would tell my daughter too. I'll be like, if I only know my child doing that at any time, she never used to get licks when she was small, she would get licks as an adult, right? But anyway, so back to what we're doing here. We're talking about being ready, first of all, right? Because if you are getting into a serious relationship, ladies, it's because you want to get married to this person. Why else? Why else? Even if you are young, so you might say at 21, or 20, I don't want to necessarily think about marriage, but if you're not thinking about marriage at 20, leave the people, boy, children alone. Continue to work on yourself. If marriage is not in the cards for you, ladies, what you going on with a boy for? What you talking to him for? For him to be crying in the next month thinking you was on him, and then you put him in the friend zone because you just lonely and looking for somebody to talk to, and you're getting this attention from this guy. The poor fella think, well, I have a chance. And then when you get bored, because you know you're not going nowhere with that, it's just to fill a little void, to scratch a itch, he get put in the friend zone and is like, whiz, boy, I thought she had liked me, right? So if you know you're not ready for marriage, you're not ready stop talking to people, boy, children, right? Leave them alone. Don't be in no old talk of them, no long talk of them, right? Because you might be just scratching an itch or whatever, but he catching feelings. Ladies, you'll hear me? While you scratching a lonely itch, or you still in that phase in your life where God is not enough, you had to have some man to talk to, and you know that this man you're talking to, you have absolutely no intentions of marrying, but this all I have right now, and he makes me feel good. He's taking me out, he's telling me the right thing, so I will just play the game for a while. You're wicked. You're wicked. Because while you're doing that, he catching feelings and seeing himself walking down the aisle and thinking he find a wife. So leave the people, boy, children alone. If you know it's not marriage you're on, right? Leave them alone, okay? So find yourself in Christ is what you should be doing, right? Find yourself in Christ, position yourself, become self-sufficient. Make sure, ladies, hear what to do. You want to get married? Make sure that you could bring something to the table too now. Make sure you come in with something now. We as women, we quick to tell the man what they need to bring to the table. What are you bringing? What are you bringing? Huh? I bring in the table. What you bringing? Right? I know some of them say, well, I bring in my whole self. Yeah, and all of this. What else you want me bring? You see how I look, you know what? No, it's not enough. It's not enough. Right? If you want him to be Mr. Provider, and he must be protector, and he must be priest, and he must be all of this thing you have on your list. Well, I mean, that's all your husband should be, all of that. What you bringing to the table, Missy? You don't even know who our wife is. You can't even cook a little food for the man, right? You don't know how to be a mother. You have no idea what to do when the baby come. Now, gosh, of course, everybody learn. Nobody knows how to be a mother until they are a mother. Nobody actually knows how to be a wife until they actually become a wife. But you could research, ladies. You can research. You could start finding out, if you can't cook now and you want to get married, why wouldn't you learn to cook? What's wrong with that? Men love their belly. If you Zion. My gosh. Yeah. This Zion, anybody I see you get close to, I'm going to tell them up front. If this woman tell you she could cook, she messing with your head, right? Anyway, right? So build up yourself, ladies. Ladies, work on you. You become a prize. Hear this. I wrote this down somewhere. Yes. I see it a little different to what I hear people saying, right? You're ready yourself for life. You're readying yourself for a partner, for a man with purpose. Some all you want, Leave put it. I'm looking for a man in finance. Blue eyes. What is he supposed to have? I'm looking for a man in finance. 6 feet, 6'5" or whatever. Blue eyes, right? Thank you. Right. And blue eyes. The 6'5" blue-eyed man in finance, not looking for you. He don't want you. Unless you drop dead gorgeous, unless you're gonna be his trophy wife and you have everything going on physically, he not going to be attracted to somebody because that kind of man, watch me, he know the kind of life he living. He have a standard of life to live. He busy, he on the go. He like you only want powerful man, only one man with money. When the man on the go and he busy, listen, when Kevin and I got married, Kevin was running a company. He had branches in Miami, he had a branch in Jamaica, he had 3 branches in Trinidad. You think I home when he not home 8 o'clock? You think I home studying where he is and why he not with me? The man have 5 branches and some of them not in this country. You think I home studying? I got married, my husband isn't here. I didn't get married for this. I want to married now and try to lock down the man to come home and rub my foot when he could be making millions of dollars out there, right? Your foot will get rubbed, yes, it will get rubbed some nights, but it wouldn't be every night. And so some of y'all want a powerful man, or not everybody, maybe not everybody. Okay, not sure what happened there. You just take some water. Right, you're hearing me? Just put a thumbs up or say yes or yes. Okay, all right. Right? So what I'm saying is you will not attract the man that you have in your head, the imaginary man, Prince Charming. You would attract the kind of man that you prepared yourself for. All you heard, man? You will attract the kind of man you prepared yourself for. The man, the 6'5" man who in finance, who have a trust fund, not looking for no shabby looking woman. Or they do not get vexed with me, yeah? He's not looking for no shabby woman. He's not looking for somebody who can carry on a little conversation, right? He carry her out to dinner, right? Sayal, you can't comb your hair properly, you're dressed frumpy. I don't mean like a particular price tag on your clothes, but just to even look neat. You know what I mean? Or you don't even have your hygiene done properly. You can't carry on a little conversation, right? He wants somebody who can have a little conversation with his friends, right? Now I'm zeroing on one kind of man because I know the ladies want, a lot of ladies want that, right? You might be the kind of woman who says, and nothing is wrong with that, who say to yourself, I don't want no man traveling nowhere who busy, because I need plenty of attention. Excuse me. And my love language is spending time, quality time, and I will not be able to, let's say, handle that type of man who's always on the go, who's nothing is wrong with that, right? But I'm saying basically though, you attract who you are at the time where you are, right? Yeah, so you might meet a man who, let's say, or they don't care if a man, please, like me still after the call, right? Because I know this is like a sore point, right? There are a lot of men, I'm just using this as an example, who love food, right? And they may be able to cook, and that's great. But they might have envisioned themselves, because maybe of how they grew up to and saw their mother cooking for their family, right? They may have envisioned themselves when they married with a wife who prepares meals for them at least now and again. And you come into this person's life, and he realized that he might be everything you want, but he realized you don't cook. And you state in it, the woman these days, I don't get into the marriage cook for no man. I'm not into these roles, marriage rules, and why I have to cook or whatever. If that is very important to him, it's cool. He would just put a little X by you. Once you okay with that too, now he have everything else going, right? Once you okay with that, right? All I am saying, ladies, is take advantage of your younger years, your 16, 17, 18, 19. Discover who you are. Learn things, become a woman, learn what it is to become a woman, learn maybe what men want to, what men cherish in a woman. Read your Bible, see how God views a woman, and what things are precious to God in a woman, right? And become self-sufficient. Make money, do your degree, make sure you could earn money. It doesn't mean you're earning right now, but make sure you have the potential to earn your own money. Do not find yourself in a position where you are at the mercy of a man to take care of you financially, all your financial needs. This is take that advice from me, ladies. Why I'm saying this is because I've heard scores of women over the years say to me, if I had $10 for every time I hear this, I would have a good bit of savings, right? If I had $10 every time I heard a woman say, I am only with this man, I'm staying and I'm taking this abuse, or taking the horn, or taking the mental abuse, or whatever, or taking the bad treatment, whatever it is, because I have nowhere to go and I don't have money and I cannot take care of myself. I know many women who stay in relationships where they are extremely unhappy, in some cases abused. They take the man that has several affairs in their marriage, and they stay because they have no way of taking care of themselves. All I'm saying to you ladies, if you are single now, take my stupid advice and make sure that you don't find yourself in that position. Nobody gets married thinking about divorce. And I'm not saying this is you preparing for that day that you might say, I want out of this marriage. But believe me, it's the more advantageous position to be in as a woman, right? And so don't have a mindset of, I'm going to meet a man and he will take care of me. Please, right? Don't do it, right? Yeah, and so that's it. So number one, and I'll have to stop at number one. I can't go on because I want you all to be able to ask questions, right? If you're serious about this thing, about courting, about, well, dating somebody with intention of, because people are not accustomed to the word courtship. So dating someone with the intention of being married, then you should be in a position prepared to do so, first of all, via your age, and also you personally should be in a place that you could say, I will make a good wife to someone. Not everybody is in that place. You could be a wife, but if you'd be a good one, right? So work on you. That's number one. And make sure you are at that age where it even makes sense, right? And so I would stop there because I want you all to ask questions. I want you all to perhaps maybe give me some examples of maybe situations that you were in. Those of you who might be older and probably had, dated younger, and, anything, questions, comments. But Celeste, I was able to keep up with most of the comments, but a few of them slipped me. So maybe you could just go over some of them so I could, and then you could unmute your mics if anybody wants to ask a question.
Okay. So